10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fish it, and I running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports on Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here in your home for Alabama sports. We're going to keep this ship floating. I want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, which is always open for business and welcomes your call to get in on the conversation as we move forward. Also, you can join us on the live stream, and we'll get that conversation worked into the program as well. Send your comments, your reactions, or your questions to the live stream. Don't forget to follow at Martin Houston 35 fan page, where you can watch the broadcast and interact with us fully there, as well as get all of the post-show, pre-show content and information. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. We got lots of conversations we can get to as we roll things out in terms of this Wednesday edition. The playbook for today is a Wildcard Would You Rather Wednesday. We'll preview Alabama's one more time, the Tango with the Tigers down on the Plains. We'll review Junior Day weekend, National Signing Day. We'll talk about that, throw that into a would you rather question, and how Saban's era officially ends today, and then a couple good would you rather questions around a couple of those topics. So one of the would you rather questions, would you rather see this National Signing Day? Would you rather it just be one day where it is literally, back at this day? We used to have a lot of drama, a lot of excitement and anticipation around National Signing Day. Do you like what's happened in terms of the college National Signing Day? Really not a lot of drama at either day. Do you think you'd like to have it where it goes back to the way it was in February, first Wednesday of February? Do you like the 2-day setup? And if so, why? Or would you like to just see it go ahead and officially move to December and see what you could pull off if it was just a 1-day National Signing Day for college football? We also there's been a lot of conversation, Justin, around Grubb potentially going to Seattle. And doesn't look like that's gonna be the case because it looks like they've hired someone and hadn't been any official interviewing of Grubb. But with that said, Grubb at Alabama potential leaving, or would you rather be Ohio State? Don't know if you heard. Ohio State's about to lose their offensive coordinator, Mr. Bill O'Brien. And it seems like that's much more likely to be the case than anybody leaving Alabama staff. Which blow is bigger? Which blow would have been bigger or will be bigger? Grubb leaves or Bill O'Brien looking at going to Boston College. So as the head coach of Boston College. And then one other question I have around NIL on it. I don't think we're ever going back to the way things used to be. You know, all of you out there who are wishing that college football goes back to the way it used to be, that's not going to happen. So the question is, would you rather have NIL or would you rather them be employees? So think on that for just a second, because it looks like Dartmouth is slowly moving toward eliminating amateur status just in college football. I mean, in college sports, at least right now around their basketball team. And so it looks like that's going to become the battle. So there's several other topics we can get to. And of course, we'll wrap up the show today with Scotty Holland, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries, as we do with the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week each and every Wednesday. So, but Justin, what are your thoughts real quick on the NIL versus employee?
I don't know what to think anymore, Martin. You know, there's so many changes that have been going on with NIL, the way we're considering these student athletes. Are they even students anymore? I mean, they don't go to class so much as they're getting paid just to show up and work. It'll be interesting how it plays out, the situation at Dartmouth, because I believe they're taking it to court, but I don't know what they're going to accomplish, regardless of who wins in that situation. If the union/player sides win, are we looking at student athletes no longer being a thing? They're just employees of the university. And then if the other side wins, like you said, we're not going to go back to how we were in the older time. So what's that going to look like? It's a very confusing time and frustrating. And I think a lot of college football fans, or just college athletic fans in general, are kind of very frustrated and done with the way that NIL has played out so far.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how this all plays out, but for those of you who may or may not know, a regional director for the National Labor Relations Board, which regularly regulates private sector labor disputes. Okay, so the Dartmouth players, I'm assuming basketball players took this to this regional labor board. I mean, it's National Labor Board, and they ruled that the basketball players are school employees and will hold a union election. Players, be careful what you ask for, okay? I don't think everybody understands. Yeah, there's some representation that happens with unions, but there's also some ceilings and some caps and some guidelines and restrictions that come with union that's not as free market as what you have right now. This vote could come as soon as the next 2 or 3 weeks. The board's press secretary, Kayla Leto, told this reporting organization, no group of college athletes has ever been closer to formalizing reality that instead of just playing for their schools, they work for their schools. So, you know, it's interesting that they don't seem to understand that you know, if you get sick right now and you miss work, or you don't show up, or you don't do whatever the job description is, you can be fired immediately. Right, Justin?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, it's no longer no transfer portal if you're going to be looking at the classifieds in the newspaper.
You know, so I try to tell people, and it's not this free market negotiation. In other words, Caleb Downs would probably be put with every other defensive back that's a freshman in 1 year, in 3 months of employment, versus being the most sought after guy. If he's an employee, all of a sudden, is he just looked at on a piece of paper that he played a position and that he had played that position for 3 months. And that 3-month employee gets this much money. This is his range. So it'll be interesting to watch. Having been a former player and understanding free market and all of that, and understanding kind of where the situation is going, I think I'd rather be an NIL guy versus a union guy. Me personally. Others may feel otherwise, or maybe some of the low-end guys may feel otherwise. If you have an opinion on it, give us a call at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. This is Martin. That's Justin. X is out today, but you can take his place. Just give us a call, 205-342-9904. We'll get to Pat, who has a question. Today is National Signing Day. So what, I guess. Alabama have 3 guys that they need to ink today. I guess there could be an upset if things don't go well. But this officially puts an end to the Nick Saban era, in my opinion. We'll talk about how he closed things out, and did he play a role potentially in locking down the 2 of the last 3 guys to put their ink in his number 2 class. We'll talk about it. We want you to join us, 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The drive throughout T-Town pretty quiet as you get up and head out the door early on this Wednesday morning drive. 2059 from Foster's to Cottondale. The drive along McFarland Boulevard from Coker across Lurling Wallace, U of A, and down to the I-20 interchange. And the drive along the 359 is moving nicely as well, with no big problems at this very early hour. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is sponsored by Stand Up to Cancer.
Townsend Nissan is your #1 dealer, and they'll beat any written offer or pay you $1,000. Keeping you #1 keeps Townsend Nissan #1. See dealer for details.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
You wouldn't think that this still happens. Hi, Barry Buckner for Tuscaloosa Hyundai. We have had customers come in who were visibly upset. Not at us, but at the dealership they had just left. Why were they upset? When you're shopping for a vehicle or any item, nothing is more frustrating than an agenda. It makes no difference what you say. They have no intention of working within your numbers, and the pressure reaches the point that when you walk away, you're the one that feels bad. At Tuscaloosa Hyundai, it's a pleasure seeing our customers relax when they realize we're the exact opposite of agenda. Tuscaloosa Hyundai is customer-driven. Every customer has different needs, and we're good with that. Our lineup of new Hyundais is outstanding, and all with no add-on side stickers. We're proud of our processes. When you're named the best of the best in your community, no agenda necessary. If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another beautiful day today with a sunny sky. Tuscaloosa size 67. For tonight, fair with the low at 40. Tomorrow, partly sunny, the high 62. Friday, mostly cloudy, a chance of showers by afternoon. The high Friday, 66. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 33 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. The phone lines are open, 205-342-9904. And also join us in the live stream, live chat. Get your thoughts, comments out there based on the topic that we're talking about. We ended that first segment talking a little bit about what's happening in college in the NIL versus employee versus going back to the old way. That's never going to happen. Some version of NIL or employee. Which one would you rather have? Ted Turner said they need this standard amount cap on the money that's given to players and limit how many times they can transfer, and the players need to sign a contract that says if you leave the school, you get none. And I'm not sure right now, Ted, how it's played out. I'm not sure that, for instance, let's say a kid comes to Alabama and you're expecting him to be a 3-year guy, right? And you say we're going to give you, and he says, hey, I'll come for $1.5 million. That's kind of his going rate. You agree to it. Do you pay $500,000 a year? And is a year considered a football season, or is a year considered a year of school? Because technically, remember, it can't be pay for play. So how are they valuing this? This is the part that no one's talking about. Every penny that's spent in NIL, the players are supposed to do something in exchange for that money. So if I give you $100,000, there should be a list of services or expectations that you should be doing, even if it comes from a collective. Remember, the schools aren't supposed to be doing this at all. So the question becomes, what? For instance, Blind Squirrel Sports says Carson Beck got a new Lamborghini. Okay, great. Kudos to him. But what is Carson Beck going to do in exchange for that Lamborghini? That's not happening. You become an employee. You're going to have to do that. Because right now, a scholarship is yours for the length of the time that a year long. An employee, you're talking about pay for play. You get to the employee standpoint, yeah, you're gonna get paid for play. What's gonna happen when some kid comes in and they start putting some incentives around it and performance reviews around it, and all of a sudden a kid comes in as a 5-star and he's a bust? What's gonna happen to him? So there's so many things that these players and these people who are out there representing, they better be careful. I tell them it's like the dog chasing the car syndrome. What happens when they finally bite onto that bumper? Well, that dog gonna get butt drugged because he's gonna lose the battle. And I think if these players aren't careful, if they keep pushing it, if I was a football player right now, I would be calling Dartmouth and say, drop your case. Drop your case, right? And so, because if it gets to the employee, it's going to be tough. And before I bring Pat in, I will tell you, I think it was pre-COVID that I was in a meeting with Nick Saban, and he was talking to some high-end boosters, and I happened to be there with a guest, and not high-end supporters of Alabama athletics, not boosters, the other sports. And he said, it's going to come a day when these players will no longer be employees of the University of Alabama. I mean, no longer be student athletes. They will just be employed to play for your team. We're heading in that direction, full speed ahead. Maybe somebody better get out here and tell these players that we're going to put a break on it and figure out how to make NIL work and not become employees, because that's another whole world that's happening. And then my biggest fear, guys, is these people that are getting this money and they don't understand taxes. They don't understand tax brackets. That Lamborghini has a value to the IRS. That Lamborghini has a value to the IRS, and it's called a gift. And if I'm not mistaken, it's taxed somewhere around 42%. So whatever that is, that kid's gonna owe that tax at the end of the year. Is anyone teaching them that? I don't know. That's what my concern is. You're gonna have some kid who goes through, him and his family gonna blow that money, think they're all good and set, and then they're gonna find out that they spent more than they should have, and they're gonna be owing the IRS. So anyway, it's up to them. Pat, you're in on the Alabama One hotline. It is National Signing Day, but as you and I know, that's kind of lost a little luster. But Alabama does have 3 big signings that's coming today. We hope to get 3 faxes. It's so funny. We're still using the fax machine, but they're trying to get fax. We're trying to get 3 faxes today. What's your thoughts, man?
Hey, good morning, Martin. Morton, you hear me?
Sir. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. But first off, that we got to look at. I want to know, did X give you an X factor today? Who is going to be the X factor in the 4th signing?
Well, I think that even though Williams has been doubling down, I don't know if you know, the Auburn folks still out there talking about the freeze 5. They're all saying that. I don't know if you've heard it, and I've talked to an Auburn person. Oh man, was it 3 days ago? 2 days ago? And they were like, "Hey, the freeze 5 is still happening." And they're saying that they've paid him to come out and do what he's doing to make Alabama look bad again. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. But I guess that's the only drama. You still want to see his ink on the paper. Then, of course, we know Noah Carter, a big get that came with DeBoer from Washington. And then, last but definitely not least, I love the Quentin Reese. It'll be interesting to see, how he goes down, because he's technically the last vestige of Saban's recruiting, right? He's the last guy that Saban had on the hook. He was the last commit that was associated with Saban directly. Noah Carter is truly a DeBoer guy, even though he had to bring Williams back, and he had to get Reese to stay. Reese was the last one to commit, so that's why I keep saying that's officially the end of the Saban era.
Okay, Martin. Hey, what about the right to work states? What about that? I've been in union busting meetings back before I went to work. I'm a government employee, but before I was a government employee, and I was a member of the mail handlers union strictly because needed representation when you work for the federal government, because these people are stupid.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to this deal up there with Dartmouth. Again, the Yankees are so smart; they're just absolutely brilliant. That and I'm being facetious. That how idiotic would it be to do something that stupid, as you well stated already? That hey, when you go to be an employee, and unions have union stewards in each shop, that there's all kinds of crazy things. That hey, what's going to be when Coach Oates says we're going down to lower gym? I don't feel like it today.
Yeah. Watch this, Pat. What happens to the kid who doesn't want to be in a union?
Exactly.
Are they gonna have union employees coming on campus talking to the players? I'm telling you, I'd be calling up and telling them, guys, let's figure out how to maximize this NIL. Let's not go with union. Because it's flat out free market right now, and and
they have to pay union dues too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole other set of gotchas out there. in the right to work state. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I think that may have been a valid way to maybe get some traction, but I think with the way that NCAA poorly implemented NIL and then magnified the problem with NIL by being the transfer stations, the players have the power right now.
Yeah.
And if they give this, like it, love it or hate it, if they give this away to the union has the power, not the players. All the players would be trading the union for the NCAA.
Same difference. But the biggest issue that with all of this goes is your low down dirty cheaters like Tennessee and the Auburn booger eaters. And that is that once we get to where we say, with argument's sake, we're going to play, like Texas has already set a precedent down there. Their president is paying each offensive lineman $50,000 for argument's sake. All right.
But Pat, that's the way a lot of them are doing it.
What's going to happen?
Texas.
Right. What's going to happen when? We got a Barrett Jones that's out there available as a center, and we're willing to pay Barrett Jones $100,000 instead of $50,000. What's going to happen to the low down cheaters like that? Because that's still going to happen. That's not going to change college football at all, Martin.
Yeah, and the other part that you have to look at, and I'll let you go, Pat, because we got J-Rob, we need to get on. But look at this, Pat. What happens when a guy's on a non-union team going to a union team? Is he going to be willing to either take the pay cut, or will he upset the apple cart when he goes the other way, and vice versa? So it's a lot of mess out there, and it may not be as far away as we think. So it's interesting. All right, man. I'll let you go. Thanks, Pat. J-Rob, you're on with Martin Houston on the Alabama One hotline. What you got for us?
Good morning, Roll Tide, Martin and Justin. How you doing this morning?
Doing good. Roll Tide.
Hey, I know it's the luster's gone a little bit on today for the signing day for the most part. This class is in and everything, but it's still a big day for these guys that are signing today and their families.
Yeah,
we should have a little excitement about it. But I know it's hard too when there's just so few that's going to sign. But like I say, it's still a big day for them. But I want to talk about that big game that's down in Lee County tonight. What do you think?
Oh man, I think Alabama. I think Alabama's going to get a win. I feel like they're playing really, really good. But I think it's key how we start. I always do something with DC called the 3-point play, and for me, it's starting fast. Get past the road woes of where we have to chase teams down. So I think it's important. First point is they have to, get off to a fast start, J-Rob. Then number two is they have to play that defense that where they're picking the guys up, 3 quarters to full court, pressuring them, making them run shot clock before they get across the line. And then that defense also translates into better shots tougher shots. And maybe they don't get fully into their offense and as deep as into their offensive set. And last but not least, we're going to shoot the ball and all that. But watch tonight, J-Rob. Watch how Alabama is playing on the offensive end, and watch how everybody comes in. Where last year they would send one guy back, maybe two, to stop the fast break by the other team. Now they have guys. The deepest guy is just as deep as the deepest defender. In other words, if I shoot a 3 and my guy goes to the board, I go to the board. okay? And watch how many more loose balls and offensive rebounds Alabama gets as a result of that style of play. That's the three things. And then, of course, offense is offense. We got to score points.
I think we need to play fast, and like we did. That's how we caught up when they were here at Coleman. They got tired because we were running fast. They couldn't hang with us. We got to play defense.
Crazy to think because they have 10 players that can play.
Yeah, they do. We got to find a way to slow down Janai Broome and Jaden Williams. That's the two guys that they depend on the inside, and that's the ones that have been hurt. Hurt us last time. I think we got to find a way to stop them two guys. And what's the guy's name that shoots on the outside? Mazzaro, Baker Mazzaro, maybe.
You talking about for Auburn?
Yeah, for Auburn.
I'm not sure.
Well, he was one of the guys that would shoot outside, right in the corner. A lot. We got to find a way to stop some of that. But we have got to play good defense, shoot the ball well, and start fast and play fast all game, and we'll have a chance to win. It's a tough place to play down there. Anybody,
it is. NATO says it's the toughest place to play in the SEC. So I think he may have even said in the countries. But I got Alabama pulling off a close one, kind of like they did back in the Herb Jones days. But it's going to take a physical outing by Alabama. They have to match Auburn's physicality and intensity. Take the crowd out early, and then do their thing. Get some runouts and turnovers. And then, of course, our three ball has to fall. That's just a given. Thanks, J-Rob. Appreciate you, man. And go ahead.
All right, man. You take care.
Thanks. And I appreciate J-Rob making a point that we do need to recognize these guys that are signing. So I'll tell you the three guys who will be signing. And, of course, Alabama did lose two guys out of this class, Julian Sand and Jameer Grimsley. Are those the two guys that we could afford to lose the most of all of the guys that left? Maybe, maybe not, but I'll tell you why I think so. We'll talk about that and a couple other topics on the other side. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. We'll be back in just a moment right here on the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. Go to alabama1.org, alabama1.org, Alabama One together.
Dog parents are loving Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend Premium Dog Food.
The way she acts and the way she moves, it's just so much better. And she's like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a freeze-dried raw food made with 0 artificial preservatives, so it's naturally shelf-stable with no mess, freezer, or fridge required. Plus, it's full of premium turkey, beef, salmon, and meat your dog will love.
We started with Nature's Blend. She's happy, she sleeps well, she's energetic. I am just delighted with this product.
When given the choice, Nature's Blend and Amazon's #1 bestseller in dry dog food, 29 out of 30 dogs chose Nature's Blend first.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of delicious beef liver treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer last year and had chemo and radiation at DCH's Lewis and Faye Madison Cancer Center. I'm thankful for the support of my nurse Kate, my breast navigator Katrina, my doctors, and the whole staff. I have felt confident like I was the most important person there, before, during, and after. Tuscaloosa is blessed to have such an excellent team at the Madison Cancer Center.
Great things are happening at DCH.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Everybody loves Taco Casa. Everything we do in our store, we prepare in our store. We hand cut all of our tomatoes. We block and shred our own cheese here in the store. So we still hand cut our chips, our sopapillas, our taco shells, our chimalupa bowls. Our chili takes about 4 to 6 hours to make every single day. The goal in that is to provide the freshest, best quality to our customers. So we just look at it as, hey, basically, we're your kitchen. You're just coming to eat in your kitchen. Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Hey, don't forget to go check out Scott Smith Southmark Design. Scott Smith Southmark Design, the official outfitter of the Martin Houston Show. He and I are working on a couple of things to add to our swag pack. Speaking of that, I need to make sure I follow up with Pat and Philip. I have their package together. Just need to coordinate with you guys to get that handled. Guys, you can always be a part of the program at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. And you're always welcome to join in on the live chat. Speaking of that, we have several comments that I want to kind of this may be, you may feel like I'm a little schizophrenic with this particular segment because I had several callers, comments, etc. based on prior conversations. Wrapping up kind of this NIL versus employee conversation, Rhett Dennis, who I believe was a former college football player like myself. My parents did not have the money for me to go to college, so my education, not free education, because I promise you I earned every penny of my scholarship, plus made money for the university. So I didn't get a free education. I got a paid education, which is totally different. And I hate when people say they need to give the money back if they don't finish. No, if they're going to do that, then the school needs to give them 4-year scholarships and guarantee it. As long as they're eligible to play, they need to guarantee it. Scholarships are 1-year deal that have to be renewed. And not everybody that goes into the portal wanted to go into the portal. Sometimes the coaches kind of push them along. So, but Rhett made a great point. He said, there's going to be, no one's talking about, if this goes to an employee situation, these kids aren't going to get scholarships per se. They're going to be paid as employees. And do they have to go to class? And will they miss that education? Now, for those handful of players who go to the NFL, you need to understand there's only 30 plus teams in the NFL, and every college kid that goes thinks he's good enough. And that's not going to be the case. So there's going to be so many more players coming out without a degree. Think about what Saban has done with the degree side of things since he's been at Alabama. How many of those guys would no longer have degrees? And then think about the guys who come back and finish up their degrees as part of the Alabama program. If you're an employee, you don't have that same connection and opportunity. So that's another downside to the direction that college football is headed in. Also, we talked a little bit about one national signing day versus two. I think they need to decide one way or the other and kind of go with it and move on. But Alabama have 3 guys signing today. We want to welcome Ryan Williams, Mr. Alabama, historic Mr. Alabama, the first guy to win it 2 times in 2 years. And he could have won a third, but he reclassified. So that's the biggest get for DeBoer, resecuring his commitment. Also getting Noah Carter to come and be a part of what's going on here. 4-star edge rusher. Welcome to the Tide. And then Quentin QB Reese from Ramsey High School inking today. Kudos to all of those guys. as they come in. Alabama did lose Julian Sayin and Jameer Grimsley. Well, those are two guys, Justin, that we could afford to lose the most because I think that Julian Sayin is still in this class unless we get Austin Mack. And us getting Austin Mack, we know that he was the primary target for the 2024 class when Julian Sayin was available and Mack was available. Austin Mack was available. Washington chose to go after Austin Mack versus Julian Sayin. So, and when you look at that, he has a year of experience. He's 6'6", 225 plus pounds. He's been in a college weight room for a year. Is Julian Sayin the one guy that Alabama could afford to lose based on just that criteria alone when you look at this class? So, and you may be answering a phone call right now. So if you want to come back and comment on that, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, yes, sir, I was. Could you repeat the question?
Well, I was just saying that based on the fact that Julian Sayin left because of Austin Mack was prioritized by Washington. He's been in the program for a year. They're the same class, even though Austin's been in college for a year. And he's a strength. He has a strength and conditioning program for a year at college level under his belt. Of all the guys in this class, was Julian Sayin the one guy that Alabama could afford to lose in terms of what they got in replacement for him?
Oh, definitely. I think our quarterback room is still stacked, regardless of if Julian Sayin is there or not. And when you look at the comparison between the two, and of course Julian Sayin's talent is immeasurable,
right?
But Mack is a specimen. I mean, the dude is 6'6", and like you said, he already has that year of experience
in the system.
In the system, yeah. And so it's hard to beat.
And the other guy we lost was Jameer Grimsley. He was a DB, athlete, wide receiver, DB. But look at who Alabama still got in the DB backfield. I believe Saban intentionally went after to make this a strong DB class, maybe part of his legacy that we'll talk about for the coming years. He signed Jalen Mbakwe, Xavier Brown, Zay Mincy, all 5 stars. Okay, so we lost Jameer Grimsley, who was a athlete who played cornerback and wide receiver. So we got those 3 guys in this class, 3 5 stars, and then you have this Drake Kirkpatrick, Peyton Woodard, and Red Morgan, Alabama born and bred, several of those guys who also, of course, Kirkpatrick Jr., the son of the great 5-star Drake Kirkpatrick. So Saban took care of the cornerback. And then we got a guy coming out of the portal, Bernard, in replace of if Grimsley had ended up on the offensive side. So I think Alabama is good with the guys they lost in replacing them. So that's a big time get there. Philip, real quick, you're in on the phone line. You're in with Martin and Justin today. What you got for us real quick?
Yes, sir. Well, my Black History month recollection will be Calvin Smith, the former track star at the University of Alabama.
What's his name? So I can look him up. What's his name?
What's that?
What's
Calvin
his name?
Smith. He was Calvin Smith, from Mississippi. He was the fastest man in the world back in the 1980s. I went to school with Calvin. I had a few classes with him. And he was an Olympian. He was on the Olympic team, and he was the fastest man in the world for a period of time there back in the 1980s.
Okay. I'll look him up. That's what I'm saying. That's why I told people, hey, if you got somebody you want to list as a trailblazer, call me up, man, and I'll try to work them in. And before I highlight them, I'll do a little research to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. But what else you got for us?
Well, I like your optimism about the basketball game tonight, and I hope Alabama can come out and not get behind like they did against Georgia a few weeks ago. If they can stay steady and not let Auburn get off to a 24-7, 26-6 lead, I think it'd be good. And as far as the Dartmouth situation on the players wanting to be employers, man, that is a slippery slope because there's one thing that can happen to all employers. They can get fired.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Performance becomes even more important. Right now, you might not play a down, but your scholarship is covered for the entirety of that season. Who sets when a player can leave a job versus get a new job? You think the NCAA can't get the transfer portal timing right? Wait till you have unions telling people when they can leave and can't leave jobs. Will players be able to do the Barnett thing where they leave in the middle of the season and go play for another team in the middle of the season? Will guys be able to leave at the end of a regular season and then all of a sudden be playing on a championship team? If a kid reclassifies from high school and he's now a graduate, can he play in the bowl game? It's a slippery slope. we can probably talk about a little bit more tomorrow. I got to get the break here. We'll come back on the other side. I do want to close out things by telling, we got Scotty Hollins coming up, but I do want to give my opinion. I may kick it to tomorrow to give a more in-depth story on O'Brien versus Grubb. And the reason I'll tell you just with a short note, I think O'Brien leaving is a much bigger deal than Grubb leaving, in my opinion. And I'll tell you why. I may tell you why on tomorrow. We'll be back in just a moment to keep the conversation rolling.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center as the sun starts to edge up all across the T-Town region this morning. We've got a very quiet traffic picture. If you're traveling along Highway 69 from 15th Street to Middleary Road, it's about 9 minutes both directions. On 2059 between Skyland Boulevard and I-359, 7 to 8 minutes there. Same story in both directions. No big problems into and out of the region this morning. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Townsend Nissan is your #1 dealer, and they'll beat any written offer or pay you $1,000. Keeping you #1 keeps Townsend Nissan #1. See dealer for details.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Barry Buckner here for Tuscaloosa Hyundai. You may have seen me on our TV commercials. You may even be the one who said I have a great face made for radio. But let me say this, I'm still excited to come to work every day. Tuscaloosa Hyundai is a great story. The first Hyundai showroom of its kind built from the ground up in the United States and still state-of-the-art. Eco-friendly from showroom to service department. Tuscaloosa Hyundai employs over 100 of your friends and neighbors, a sales and service team with over 500 years of combined experience. We are dedicated to supporting Tuscaloosa area schools and charities. We are honored to win Best of the Best recognition as voted on by you. But the greatest satisfaction comes from proving every day, if you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It's now time for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. But really quick before we get into that, I want to remind you that tomorrow we'll hit that would you rather question. We'll give the final thoughts to that on tomorrow. Ohio State. Would you rather be Ohio State potentially losing Bill O'Brien or Alabama potentially losing Grubb? I kind of gave you my thoughts is I'd rather be Alabama losing Grubb than Ohio State losing O'Brien. I'll tell you why on tomorrow. We'll also talk about National Signing Day. We'll talk about the Auburn game. Hopefully we're reviewing a big win on the Plains. And then we'll either tomorrow and or Friday talk about DeBoer's staff versus Saban and what he's been able to do is absolutely amazing with his staff. It's now time for us to bring in Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries, where he teaches us how we can take our faith from not just the books, but to the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of play. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Martin. I'm doing well. Always excited to join you, and I will jump right in. We are continuing our series, Building Something Special, and really kind of the building blocks that are necessary for building something special. We know in the new year, everybody has big plans to build something special, New Year's resolutions, and again, just wanted to encourage you on that journey, especially right here at the beginning, and we've looked at those building blocks, looked at God's Word, and now we're still kind of digging into what does it look like to include prayer. And so our focal verse last week was Psalms 127:1 that says, unless the Lord builds the house, they that build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman watches in vain. And so, just looked at that passage and one other passage as well. But just saying, man, listen, if you're building something this year, and everybody is, then why would you try to build it without the one who made it all? So let's make sure that ultimately this passage says, unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. It's saying that we're wasting our time. Anybody want to waste their time this year? I don't. So I'm saying, hey, let's make sure we include him and not just invite him to be a part of what we're planning to do, but saying, God, give us the plans and then guide us in those plans. And so, so here we go. This week I told you I wanted to kind of go a little bit deeper and wanted to give you some specific thoughts on how do you pray. And so I'm going to use an acrostic that I've learned just years ago. It's ACTS, ACTS. The A stands for adoration. So if you're saying, look, man, I need some guidance for prayer, I need some direction, I need some, I get distracted. Hey, I do too. So this helps me to stay focused and to have I think a more productive time in prayer. But the A stands for adoration, and pretty much adoration is simply just praising God, adoring Him. And so, if you want to just kind of, it's basically praising God for who He is. And so, this is a good time to focus on just who God is. And we're not talking about what He's done yet, but and you can praise Him for what He's done. But we'll get there here in a second in our acrostics. But the A is praising Him for who He is. How do you know who He is? That's what the Bible is all about. It's revealing to us who God is. A great place to go in the Bible. He's being revealed all over the Bible, but go to Psalms and read some Psalms, pray through some Psalms, and you will have a great time in this portion of your prayer. But starting the prayer, focusing on who God is, just in praising Him for who He is. All right, the C is for confession, and so confession is basically where you acknowledge the areas where you have sinned or where you have maybe walked away, and so it's just kind of putting that on the table and saying, Lord, I want to agree with you that this is sin. 1 John 1:9 says, if we confess our sins, He's faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. So we want to make sure we're agreeing with God and keeping those short accounts. My man Job was known as a blameless man. It didn't mean he was sinless. It just meant he kept short accounts. When he found himself, in a place where he's maybe walked away, he dealt with it quickly. He repented. He asked for forgiveness, and he kept walking with the Lord. The T, here we go. The T is for thanksgiving. So A, adoration, C, confession, T is for thanksgiving. This is where you actually praise God and thank Him for what He's done. The A was praising God for who He is. The T is thanking Him for what He's done. And guess what, guys? If you're listening to this call, He's done a whole lot. I mean, and Martin, we could go on and on about that, right, bro? Hey, we start shouting here about what He's done. But this is where you thank God for what He's done. Listen, now we get to the S, and the S is supplication. This is where you actually ask. You get a chance to ask now. But think about this a lot. Think about we've spent time praising him for who he is, confessing our sins, and thanking him for what he's done. We haven't even gotten to asking yet. But now we do get to ask, and you ask for yourself, but you also ask for those around you. You pray for your family and your friends and your coworkers and whoever else is on your heart. But this is where you go in and ask. And so I just wanted to make sure, you have a simple acrostic, a simple plan, a simple blueprint that can guide your time in prayer as you seek to ask God to help you build your special project that you're building this year.
Oh man, that is awesome, and I love doing acrostics too because they help you remember things really, really easy. And one of the things that I always tell people is when you look at things like adoration, confession, thanksgiving, act like a Christian. that helps me.
That's good. That's good.
But you can put so much into like that teaching you, prayer. When I look at that acrostic, prayer makes me act like I believe God. Because if you don't pray, I tell people, if you don't pray, that tells me you don't really believe that one, either God can do it or you don't believe you need God. That's why I act like I believe God and I go to him in prayer on everything. I act like I need God. And so that's really powerful. Scotty, thanks for those awesome words. I'll let you close things out. Tell them where they can find you, sir, and support your ministry.
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can send me a message there. It comes straight to my email.
So, all right. So, hey, go check them out one more time.
You mean say it again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. And you can send me a message there. It'll come straight to my email.
Yeah, and Scotty, what I'd like to do after we get through this series is I want, you empower us. I want us to take a time at some point in the future and let people know what Blueprint Ministries does, because I think they need to hear that as well. Because of what you're doing day in and day out, man. You pour into us each Wednesday, and we appreciate it. But we need to also give our listeners a chance to maybe pour into you so you can continue to pour into those young people and adults that God has called you to reach, man. Thanks for being a part of the show, and thanks for challenging us to act like Christians, especially when it comes to prayer. We're gonna show our adoration for who God is. We're gonna confess when we come up short, and we're gonna give thanksgiving for all that He has done, because He's done a lot. Hey, that's Scotty Holland, the Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. I'm Martin Houston. That's Justin Jones. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the program. We appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow to keep the conversation rolling. Help us keep it going on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Don't miss your chance to win at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Open 24/7. So come on in for nonstop gaming action. You'll find the latest, hottest, most exciting games around. And you'll love the fun.